What's up, everybody? It's your favorite face ripper offers favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Unique Toys Challenger, which is their take on Optimus Prime from the Bayverse. I believe Age of Extinction, but I'm far from an expert on the visual nuances that distinguish each. This is on loan to me from Robert D. It was sent to me directly by GCI, and once I get finished with him, so to speak, I'll send him back on his way to Brooklyn, New York, where they have the best post offices, I hear. My goal is to get this up by Friday. We'll see how it goes. But this guy does have a few accessories. Let's take a look. You get these two extra pieces that come in a baggie outside of the box. They both have this metallic silver paint added to them, like a finish. Looks fantastic. Could have probably used a few bells and whistles, and to be honest with you, if you weren't going to put it in the box and you were going to have it like this, I don't think a wash would have killed it. I think that would have been a nice little touch. But either way, it looks nice. Can he hold it like that? He holds it like that with tension. And then you get this thing as well, which is like a little missile, or it's die cast, and it... You know what this is? I bet you this is you know what? I bet you this is Merlin's staff. I don't remember this movie very well. I think it's kind of my internal protective agencies and systems trying to block it from my memory. But I bet you this is just this is like the human version of this. Which is a nice little thing to have, I suppose. Then he comes with his Sword and Shield. These are quite nice. You have this metallic red, cherry red paint on it that looks great. We have this silver finish on it. We have all the little sculpted detail with all the Cybertronian writing and design down the blade. The hilt of the blade is sculpted beautifully. Paint gets a little outside the lines here and there, but I think it's a small price to pay for such a beautiful accessory. As for the shield, pretty much the same ball game. You have silver paint, you have gold paint, you have red paint, the same red we talked about before. We have the flames on it and so forth. Looks very nice. And he holds his sword just fine. That pegs into his hand, and the shield pegs onto his forearm. Using these three pieces, you can split this open, and you can even have this open if you'd like. And then you can raise the sight up. You can have it as a gun and raise this open and raise the sight up. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but you can do that, or you can close it around, and this can be for the sword that you can then insert here. And then you can take this piece, which we haven't talked about, which is pretty much done the same way with the metallic fleck finish, and peg that into the bottom here. And then that whole assembly can peg into his back, or you can put it on his forearm as well. You can also plug this monstrosity of a weapon into the rear of the vehicle if you'd like, but I'm not sure why you would, but you have that option. And then you get a couple different head options. You get the face without the face plate and the red paint on the side. You can see that it's that it is that metallic paint over blue plastic, which it shows up really nicely. They did a really good job in the application of most of the paint on this thing. Absolutely. And then there's a button here that when you have the batteries installed, it'll light up. Hear that? And then you have a face swap option. This face is just pegged in. You can remove it, and then you can put in either one of these. You got another face without the red paint, or you have a shielded face with the red paint. So a couple different options there, which I dig kind of overall. And let's talk about the figure. So the head, we have the silver metallic paint, which we'll see throughout. We have the blue paint, and then the eyes light up on this one as well with the same button on the side once you have the batteries installed. We have a head swivel and hinge, so it's on a swiveled hinge, which is my preferred way of doing MP styled figures. You get the head down to there, which I think is nice, and then up all the way to there, which is more than you'll probably ever need, and then the swivel, obviously. Moving on. The problem, once again, with these light-up eyes, the only company I've seen do it is Fans Toys, where they can paint it and then also have it light up, is that they look dead when they're not lit up. So that's kind of like a fear and desire kind of thing. It's up to you as to what's important in that regard, because you can always paint it yourself. Moving on. Blue paint, silver paint, gold paint, copper paint. Yikes. Blue paint, white paint, and I think this is red plastic. Yes. So the red is the only thing that's not painted there. Insanity. You know I'll never complain about that. So you get a waist swivel, no issues there, and you get an ab crunch. So that's nice as well. No complaints. For the shoulders, it gets even better, folks. We have a ball peg up inside of this shoulder piece of armor. The shoulder armor is attached to the shoulder, which is the right way to do it. Some people try to put it on top of the collarbone. It doesn't work properly. So it's up here. The entire shoulder assembly armor-wise is on an additional hinge that can get it out of the way so that you can get the arm up to about 90 degrees, and you can probably finagle it, yep, to even get it beyond 90 degrees. So no issues there. And the blue is painted as well, the bottom piece, not the top piece. The top piece has this paint accent on the side, the flames. And then you can get the swivel, obviously, and they're ratcheted out, soft ratchet up and down. Bicep swivel, we have a double jointed elbow, and then we have an elbow piece of armor that I wish could move down to kind of cover up on the joint. That's my only complaint there, but it is on a hinge, so you can kind of get some motion out of it to make it look proper. We also get a butterfly joint. Beautiful. And that pegs in. It doesn't stay stuck in as well as I would prefer, but it's there and it's nice. Now, for the wrist, we have a hinge here, which is nice and something we don't often see. And then we have a swivel at the wrist. The thumb is on a swivel here, and then we have two more joints of articulation in the thumb. It does break up the sculpt a bit because of this first joint, but it should get you everything you want. The fingers hinge, hinge, hinge on the index finger, and then the bottom three fingers are connected on the same hinge, hinge, hinge. So all of that works fairly well. We have this hip skirt here that will raise up. We have silver paint on that, and that's it. And then we have these hip skirts here. They are spring loaded, but you can get them up and out of the way on two hinges. And then the butt flap also moves out of the way. Using all of that, you can get the leg out to the side almost for the full Van Damme. I think it's close enough, honestly. And then forward and back almost for the full Monty. Now, the hips themselves, as you see, are ratcheted universals outwards, smooth inwards, which is not what we often see, which is a strange choice, honestly, but it works fine. They also have a drop-down joint, not unlike what you see in SH Figuarts, that will help clean it up a bit when it's in bop mode, and you can get a little bit more range out of it when you're trying to pose it. You have a thigh swivel as well. You have to watch all this hip armor and stuff. Be careful of scratching the paint, and you can tuck that a little bit behind the butt flap that moves out as well. We have, for the thighs, we have the same silver paint. We have these two pieces, which are just loose pieces that are connected here and here. And then we have the cherry red paint on the back of the thighs, which looks great. We have a single jointed knee that gets you 90 degrees, so no issues there. And it's ratcheted. Silver paint, gold paint, flame paint with red and white, and then the cherry paint here. If I was to be hypercritical, I would say that the dullness of the red paint on top of the blue for the flames is a little off-putting, but honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. It's just that sitting next to this cherry red, the cherry red looks so good. All right, for the feet, we have a toe tilt basically up. We don't have an ankle tilt at all, and that is a slight bummer. It's the first issue I've seen with it, and I'll tell you why. He's a heavy figure, and he has a tendency to want to lean forward, and it would have been nice to be able to articulate the ankle to support him a bit more. That being said, he does have a great rocker, and it's a traditional rocker, so you shouldn't get any issues there. We also have silver paint on the toes and the red cherry metallic paint. And then the back is pretty much clean as a whistle Mac. So yeah, there's not a lot of negative to say about this. It's pretty fantastic in terms of an action figure. And size comparison wise, there he is with MP10. That should give you an idea. He's a big fella. With the hand straight, wrap it up over top of the forearm and collapse the thumb around it. Open this piece up, which is spring loaded on the side, and turn the top of the forearm up so that this comes down onto the bottom of it. And we're going to do that on the other side as well, with the fingers up, the hand rather, and then we're going to break the connection here, which allows this piece to come out, little red smudge there on the paint. That's going to happen when you have a figure that's as painted as this is. And then you can move the forearm out to the side, collapse this back down, and you're good. Turn the shoulder armor 90 degrees to the front, and then at the bicep swivel, rotate that 180. Rotate the arm to the back. Make sure that the elbow armor is kind of tucked underneath the shoulder armor the best you can. And you're gonna wanna do that on the other side as well. Break the chest connections, pull the arms out, untab these pieces, and then rotate the arms around so the fronts of the truck are facing you. Untab the neck flap from the chest here, rotate these two pieces up, and then bring the chest piece down. On the back of the figure, you wanna rotate these smokestacks out. Now you can have these out in robot mode as well as if you'd like, and they are a little tight to get out because of the paint. But you just want to rotate them so that they're sitting flush with the other stacks. Back around to your arms, you want to rotate this piece out to the side. It gets heavy, so stuff might start flopping around on you, and then extend this entire panel section out. There's a double hinge here. You just want to be careful on how you manipulate it. And then there's a tab here that will plug in to the inside of the car door there. And you're going to want to do that for the other side as well. And then extend the cab around the side. Look out for that double hinge. Tab it in to the elbow joint here into the back of the car door or truck door, and then this tab goes into the side of the truck. Then rotate the windshield around to the front on both sides. Then on the back of the figure, you're gonna butterfly these pieces back, pegging in this peg and this peg into this hole and that hole, so to speak. All right, let's get her done. Oh, there's a bunch more pegs I didn't realize. You then need to get this flap up and out of the way. This piece will extend to help you do so. Once you get it out, you can move these blue pieces around to the side on a double hinge and then collapse the head down. And then this piece will come over and fill in the void space on the front, or top rather, of the truck. This might get a little tricky to film, but there's a joint above the ab crunch that allows you to pivot this whole cab down. As you do so, you want to bring the legs around to the opposite side, around the hip skirts, and then you want to use your SH Figuart style hip joints to rotate the hips down. At this point, you can spread the hip skirts, and these pieces also come around to the top. On the back of the legs, there's flaps on the inside. Untab them, which will allow you to fold out the outer parts of the legs, and then close these back up. This will give you the clearance to peg this part of the thigh into the opposite one, if I can see it. Now, for the legs, you want to untab this top piece and spin this whole section around. You can flip this panel up as well, and you want to extend this as far as it will go, bringing this piece around, which is the front fender, and you can actually tab in this one while you're there. And we'll do the same for this side as well. Untab this top piece, unfurl, as it were, this entire area, flip up the one panel, straighten all this out, bring this around, and then this panel has a tab here that will tab in to there. To finish off the back of the vehicle, use this sliding piece again, bring this down. There's two tabs on the back of here that will come down. Try to show you. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it, but they'll lock in to these two pieces here. This part can eat you alive if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Bring the fender out of the way. Rotate this up. And then rotate it up this way. And then bring it around to the inside. And then rotate this entire piece around, which will bring the foot up to the inside, collapse the foot, bring the front fender around, bring this around, and tab the front fender into there. One more time for the slow kids like myself. Rotate the fender around to the back. Swing this forward and then rotate it up. Bring the foot in, rotate this around 180, and then spin this down, which will bring the foot up, and then you can collapse the foot on the inside, bringing the fender around and plugging back in to the front. Lastly, bring your completed piece around and the other one around plugging in to all of the interlocking pieces. I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. And I have to say it's really impressive. Now I've got something not quite right because it's not rolling, and I'm pretty sure it can, and it's just getting jammed up here, and it might roll on us. I might have just something a little too snug in here, but it's not mine, and I don't feel comfortable kind of pushing it any further. I've got it this far, by golly, and I'm gonna let it ride. Gimmick wise, the doors do open. Let me see if I can't get a spudger in there to get it so. There you go. You're gonna meet some complications in terms of actually getting inside the vehicle, but the doors do open. I like the handbars here, like the railings, all of the, like it's beautiful. Like they really did a bang up job. I don't have any real complaints. This moves around a bit as well, where you can attach the trailer. I don't think that I have the G1 right here. It's a different pay. You could probably sit it on top and be fine. And then we have silver paint there, and then the chrome in the front, translucent windows. Like, I don't really have a whole lot negative to say about this. I think it's pretty amazing, and the process of getting there is equally so. And then we have it next to Tiger Tracks, per usual. It looks pretty good. Wow. Yeah, I think they did a pretty bang-up job, honestly. Final thoughts wise, my negatives. They're very few. The big negative are the ankle tilts. He should have been able to tilt those back and forward. That would have helped with the balance of this figure. This figure does have a tendency to become unbalanced, rock to and fro. You can use the knees to kind of put him off center in order to keep him balanced, but it is a little frustrating. And being able to manipulate that ankle up and down would have helped that a lot. Side to side is no problem. My only other criticism really is gonna make me sound like a spoiled brat, but this figure is beautifully detailed and painted. One of the best I've ever seen. Now I say that to say this. When you look at the amount of paint, love, and care that went into it, the fingers stick out to me like a sore thumb. Am I right? But it just screams unpainted, and it's only because the rest of the figure is painted so beautifully. It's 100% a nitpick, but I have to point it out. As for the positives, the feel is amazing. It feels like a masterpiece or a Fans Toys figure. It feels very top shelf. The sculpt is beautiful. However, I'm not sure it's as intricate as the movie designs in terms of all the moving pieces, but I may like that better. Like I've talked about before, it's painted from top to bottom. There's no issue there, or as my West Pennsylvania friends say, top to bottom. There's plenty of die cast, hardware, ratcheted joints, etc. The articulation is pretty much perfect with the exception of the ankle tilts, but you do get butterflies so that I can put him in this pose where he's daring you to mess with him, and an ab crunch. Cleans up like a champ, the alt mode looks perfect, and it has a strong presence. It is 110% a strong recommend from me. It is a really well done figure. Just recently I said that Unique Toys was a jack of all trades and perhaps a master of none. They may have indeed mastered the movie bots. This is just a tremendous effort. Very similar to their Peru kill, and if you like that, I'm sure you'll love this. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, until next time, take care.